Fasting is one way you can try to address the symptoms of long COVID and sometimes other conditions mediated by your microbiome that involve lots of excess mucus and biofilm like fibromyalgia or chronic Lyme. Here's why and how to do it. First, I'm going to tell you that fasting for a medical condition should be done under the supervision of a medical professional. It is often safe to try at home in the 8-16 method I'll describe, but there are some people who should never do it, like if you're pregnant or breastfeeding or trying to get pregnant. I'll tell you some more precautions in a second. Here's why you might want to consider it though. While we are sick, we, like many other animals, often experience an aversion to food.
I have no appetite.
Or a preference for certain kinds of foods.
He's like a cookie steak monster.
All animals do this, it's normal. And both traditional and modern medicine have been guided by this evolved behavior. Infections can cause injury to our body in two main ways. The pathogens themselves can harm us, and the inflammatory response our immune system creates to fight them can also cause collateral damage. In a recent experiment, researchers at Yale infected two groups of mice with either a bacteria or virus and fed them. The mice infected with bacteria died, and the mice infected with viruses survived. Then they gave the mice a special drug that inhibited glucose absorption, basically putting them on a zero-carb diet, and the opposite occurred. The bacterial infection group survived, and the viral infection group died. Why? They found that in bacterial infections, the immune system needs to have ketones available to reduce toxic accumulation of reactive oxygen species, which cause some of that collateral damage of the immune system fighting off bacteria. If you have or know about Lyme disease, think of the herx. Ketones are only used when your mitochondria can't get any glucose. But in a viral infection, your cells need that glucose to respond correctly and clear the virus from your body. So how does this connect to long COVID? One of the hallmark qualities of long COVID is the presence of biofilm viral reservoirs, literal pools of snot where the virus can persist and avoid your immune system. This is why we call COVID a damp plague. It comes with a lot of phlegm.
Phlegm ball.
People who have a disrupted microbiome don't fare as well with COVID. For example, we know that having an autoimmune condition puts you at higher risk of long COVID and also means your microbiome is different from people who don't have that autoimmune condition. Intermittent fasting, as seen here, alters your microbiome and the biofilm of your GI tract to a healthier and overall more robust profile. Because long COVID can be a persistent virus, you need to eat at least some of the time.
Eat, little buddy, eat.
Because it involves unhealthy bacteria and excess biofilm, you can try not eating some of the time.
Fasting because I misread my calendar.
By going back and forth with an intermittent fasting method, you can get the benefits of both worlds, eating and not eating. So here's the thing, fasting is a stress. It's always a stress until you're well conditioned to doing it, so you need to balance it with the other stresses in your life. If you can't sleep, you shouldn't fast. If you have a history of disordered eating, fasting must be closely supervised and you probably just shouldn't do it. If you're under a huge burden of any kind of stress, work stress, family crisis, you're in college and it's finals week, fasting is another stress. Adding stress to stress is usually bad. Wait for a better time. If you're an insulin-dependent diabetic, you should only attempt fasting if you are being closely medically monitored. Fasting can be useful to restore insulin sensitivity, but please don't do it on your own. If you take medication that must be taken with food, don't fast when you need to take your meds. Now, long fasts do exist and can have benefit for some people, but that's beyond the scope of this video. For long COVID and other damp conditions, I don't usually recommend a days-long fast. This is an 8-hour window of eating, followed by a 16-hour window of not eating. Traditionally, the eating window is in the morning, and the not eating window starts around 2 or 3 p.m. If you've never done this before, you can try it out for one day, then go back to eating normally. Then do it for 2 days, then a day of eating normally, and so on and so forth until you just don't miss dinner any longer. Then you can do it for days on end as long as you're not losing unhealthy amounts of weight or making your family hate you. If it's going to be helpful for you, you'll usually start to notice positive changes after 5 days to a week of consistently doing it. When you're fasting, you can and probably should drink non-caloric beverages like water or herbal teas to stay hydrated. And if you're doing this for a persistent infection, you can consider using the teas available through our website to inhibit viral replication, modulate gut flora, and reduce excess biofilm formation. I hope this helps. Please let me know your questions or share your experiences with fasting in the comments.